15th, 2019. You can't believe it yourself. Neither can we. The San Jose Sharks somehow won this hockey game in probably the craziest and wildest finishes that you'll ever see a San Jose Sharks playoff game take place. Welcome to Teal Town After Dark, following and Al, I can't believe to say this, a 5-4 Sharks victory over the St. Louis Blues. Yeah, we do this after every single Sharks playoff game, and home and away. So, of course, if you want to be a part of the show, there are multiple ways to interact with us, chat with us and fellow Sharks fans in the YouTube chat, on the page or the app. Hashtag tealtownusa if you want to comment on the Twitter machine, all along with at us at tealtownusa. But do us yourself a favor. Just hit us up on the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, SoundCloud, YouTube. We think over the 1,500 plus that have subscribed to the YouTube channel. That's the best way you're going to find us. Just make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Also hit up that bell that'll notify you when we go on the air. So joining me tonight, I have Mr. Al Martinet.
Hey, great game tonight. Thrilling game. Got to hand it to the St. Louis Blues for providing a great overtime win for the San Jose Sharks.
Oh, geez. Don't you start. All right. And Kevin Lacy.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I can hear you.
Excellent.
And hey, you know what? That was weird, but St. Louis Blues fans, if you're in the chat, thanks for watching. We swear that we're happy about the win, but not how it happened. But nevertheless, sorry, but that was a goal. Oh, but it really shouldn't.
Oh,
I'm at Kevin Lacy 22. You can at me all you want because I probably deserve it for that.
Yeah, that's gonna happen. Oh boy. All right. So series tied 1-1, headed to St. Louis. It looked like a crazy one. Tell me if I'm wrong, boys. The last time the Sharks won a overtime playoff game, Marty Havlat scored the double OT winner against St. Louis in 2012. But nonetheless, here we go. Let's get things going. I thought the Sharks really dictated a play early on, and had, I think even the commenters said, there was more of a good road period for the Sharks. It started out nicely at 6:58 in. David Perron, yes, former Vegas Golden Knight David Perron, tripped up Tomas Hertl. Of course, with the Sharks power play, I think only scoring 3 power play goals since they scored 4 in 4 minutes. And obviously, the referee was goaltending that night for the Vegas Golden Knights, right? Nothing has transpired since, and nothing happened there. Later on, we saw Tomas Hertl get roughed up into the boards. There was no call, although he had a little bit of a gash on his eye. Kevin, what did you think about that one? Was that okay or not a good call?
I'm sorry. I was doing some other responsibilities here. What's up?
That's okay. I was asking about the Hertl when he went into the boards and he ended up getting a gash over his head. Would you think that was a call?
I missed the first half of the game, so you're going to have to tell me about it.
Al, your thoughts then?
I didn't really think it was that bad. I thought it was I didn't really think it was incidental, but I thought it was a good playoff hit by the St. Louis Blues. I thought both teams, the first 10 minutes of this first period, both played pretty consistent hockey on both sides. Pretty even matched. Really, after the 10-minute mark, the Sharks really did seem like the experience of going to the finals kind of played off in their favor. And getting Erik Karlsson his first goal of the year, which is kind of weird for him.
Early for the year.
Yeah. I think that was really big for the Sharks.
Yep. That was at 13:37. Erik Karlsson unassisted on that goal. And I thought it was quite an interesting one, guys, when a lot of people already know that they're trying to rim it around to Burns or Karlsson to the point to get a shot on net, maybe to deflect it, or maybe get that through traffic. And what I find interesting is that Karlsson kind of started to pinch in a little bit and then took his shot, which I think might have thrown off St. Louis a little bit.
It certainly looked like that. There was a lot of screening. People were in front of the net. But I was more just impressed with the Sharks' attitude to just get pucks to the net, unlike game 2, where they were seeming like going for the high tip goals, the Burns to Pavelski goals. Those are flashy, but I just want to see Karlsson just get some pucks to the net, test the St. Louis goaltender goalie, Binnington, who's been pretty good. I give him a lot of credit, but he's still unproven. Just test him, see what he's made of.
Yep. I completely agree. And
Talk about Binnington there.
yes.
Yep.
All right, now I'm locked in, guys.
Sweet.
Yeah, I mean, in game 2, I thought that the Sharks really, I mean, it was pretty obvious they let that game slip through their fingers, but a huge part of it was Jordan Binnington, the rebound machine that the Sharks were not trying to shoot for rebounds on. Like, I feel like in the first 2 games, sure, the Sharks outplayed them in both games and won one of the 2, but they never truly tested Binnington in either of those games. And tonight was another opportunity to do so. I still felt like they could have done more than they did. So I want to see more shots from all over the place, especially off the rush.
And I think, to your point, Kevin, I think they have to be less predictable about where they take their shots and what kind of plays they actually do.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the huge things I think down the road that this team is going to need to do to be very successful, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, keep the defense honest. Don't be predictable, and your offense will be thriving. Sure, pretty plays are nice and all that, but if the Blues are expecting that every single time, they're going to get blocked, as the Blues have been a blocking machine so far.
Yeah. Yeah. So, nonetheless, EK65 off the schneid finally. I mean, that was great. And then 3:21 later at 16:58, Jumbo Joe Thornton gets off his road goal schneid in the playoffs. He gets his third of the playoffs from Vlasic and LeBanc to give the Sharks a 2-0 lead, headed into the dressing room after 1 period of play. What did you take from that, boys?
I thought it was a good shot to the net, and I liked how Joe Thornton held the puck for just a split 2 seconds, and then did a nice backhand shot. Good to see Joe Thornton get well, I guess 2 goals, but we'll talk about that one in a second. But of course, I believe this was his first playoff goal in 25 games. So really kind of great to see him get on the net. This season, he's been more productive as a scorer. He's always been kind of more of an assist guy, but seems like he's been more consistent shooting the puck. We've been he shot it towards the net. And hey, we needed both goals tonight.
Yeah, I think with Joe Thornton, part of it is just the fact that he has been slower. I think up until this series, his speed has been pretty good, which is I find fascinating, considering St. Louis is easily the slowest team the Sharks have played in the playoffs, and yet Thornton has seemed to slow down in this round. But with the lack of speed, he's got to make more plays, whether it is shooting or passing. I think he has, like Alex just said, he's been less reluctant to shoot the puck, which is only to the Sharks' benefit. And a really nice first goal there to knock the puck down and keep it away from Binnington, who could have poke checked that. Yep. Eventually, Thornton puts it in. So a nice, solid goal for a player who was called out quite a bit in the media.
Yeah, and they need everybody to be on board. And I think a lot of people were questioning, the secondary scoring. I think even on Morning Skate Live with Dan Bakes and Hetty, they were suggesting that the second 6, as Hetty likes to put it, needed to step up their game as well. Which is why you saw Sorensen out and Melker moves up. Haley gets into the lineup for this game as well. But of course, Joe Thornton gets his third of the year, so which gives us a reminder, if you would like one of these lovely t-shirts, win it for Jumbo. We might have to make a next set that says puck it. Jumbo will do it himself. You can get this beautiful t-shirt right here, nice high quality. Only 8 shirts left. That's available at tealtownusa.com.
You should hand pass that information along to a friend.
Wow.
I'll hand it to you.
Oh boy.
Like I said, Blues
I
only say that because we won, but we feel your pain. Trust us.
Let's put it this way. It's oh boy, yeah, it's a tough one. Through the first period, 9-4 in favor of San Jose in the shots on goal department. 50-50 evenly split on the faceoff circle. Sharks did have that one power play. They were 0 for 1 in that one. However, apparently, I know they use like neutral officials during the playoffs and such, but I'm just saying 22-4 in favor of the Blues in the hits department. I find it quite interesting.
Yeah, it says on NHL 21-43. So
so it came down a little bit. That's interesting.
that's the total. That's the total for the game.
All righty, interesting. I'll let that be. I guess for now.
Yeah, but, hitting always seems to favor the home team, no matter what barn you're in, especially in LA. But who cares about them, right?
LA, I haven't heard from them in months.
Yeah,
all right.
Don't get started.
Let's get started. But moving on to the second period, man, I was trying to be, nice and cut and work. I'm so getting notifications later in Twitter. Anyways, second period, moving on. The Blues start out strong, and Alex Steen gets his second from Barbashev at 1:18 to make it 2-1 Sharks. Al, what did you take from this quick start?
I think the Sharks were just being a little bit careless, getting the puck out of their zone, and this is a goal I think I'm not going to put on Jones. It's really just to get the puck out of the net. The second period, man, what a wacky second period, but really, it was just careless turnovers throughout that second period, and this was one of them that directly benefited Alex Steen. Yeah,
I mean, I was still listening on the radio at this point, but from what it sounded like the first period was a very favorable period for the Sharks. So I expected a pushback from the Blues there to start the period, especially considering that there's a book against the Sharks about attacking early and getting yourselves back into games, no matter what period it is. Unfortunately, that book has another chapter with another early goal for the Blues. Thankfully, as I know you're about to mention, Joe Thornton, got us right back in. I was still heading home at that point, but I let out a giant woo on that second goal by Thornton. So.
No, you are not from Worcester, though. 18 seconds later, as Kevin just mentioned, and Joe Thornton kind of kicks it to himself and then puts it past Binnington, who just barely opened up his 5-hole there for his second of the game, fourth of the playoffs from LeBanc and Dilly. Al, it was a nice play and nice nimble play from Jumbo on that one.
Yeah, it became the oldest multi-score game for the Sharks.
Yep.
This was very much just Joe Thornton. I think he was kind of redeeming himself for game 2, letting in that game-winning goal for game 3 or for game 2.
Yep.
Really, there's really not much to say. It's just a nice soccer kick to the stick, getting the puck to the stick, and honestly, that's all it really was. But it's a great effort. Good to see him get 2 goals tonight. I would have to look through the rest of his stat line, but he also had 1 assist, and this was a +3 coming off of a really bad performance games 1 and 2.
Yeah, and like we said it before, the depth was being challenged, and they stepped up big time in this one. I completely agree in that sense. So getting back to things here, then everything fell apart for the Sharks in in the second period there. Vladimir Tarasenko with a great speed up rush, gets past the defense, beats Martin Jones, his sixth of the playoffs, his second, if I'm not mistaken, of the playoffs or of this playoff series to make it 3-2 3-2 Sharks with 4:05 gone in the second period. Assist to Shen and Pareko, or is it Pareko? Mr.
Pareko.
I'm
There
sorry,
you go.
Pareko.
Pareko. Thank you. Just gotta get these pronunciations.
When I'm on the show, ladies and gentlemen,
Exactly.
everything must be pronunciated correctly.
I don't want to mess things up there.
It's
All right.
not Marlou, it's Marlowe.
It's not Merle. No. All right. So 3-2 there for the Sharks. In that time between goals, Haley takes a shot to the grill. Perron. Well, let's kind of talk about this one. Well, I mean, again, we really shouldn't be complaining about the officiating, and I don't think we are. The refs missed this one as well. David Perron shoots the puck over the glass. Our Twitter, tealtownusa, had a great shot of it from the Sportsnet feed where there's absolutely no puck or nothing in the way that that gets in there. So
Yeah.
Perron, that should have been a power play.
I just to go back to the Haley one for a minute. I didn't think it was a bad no call, to be frank. I'm not too sure if the ref. It's a really bad call or a hard call to make for the refs in that split second. And if they want to do instant replay, fine. But in the instant moment, it's bad for Haley to get another slap on the wrist for that one. But if it's anyone that you would want to get injured, Haley's probably the guy.
Yeah, he took another slash, so no call there. But go ahead, Kevin.
I was just going to say, at some point you have to let the game just play. And I mean, yeah, that could have been a slash on Michael Haley on his wrist, for example. I mean, it was a slash, but that wasn't a slash in the terms of he's going out trying to slash him. I mean, Pareko's trying to lean hard down on his stick and get over the top of him. So, I mean, that play happens so much that I think that's one of those that in the playoffs, let it go. I mean, sure, it sucks for Haley that he got hurt on that. And I don't recall him coming back in the game after that. But to me, like I think you said, Alex, fine with letting it go. The delay a game, though, yikes. Puck over glass, pretty obvious. And we'll get into plays that deserve review, yeah. But
we're at that mark where that delay of game actually did happen.
Yeah, and kind of going through the chat and what everybody's saying there. M Hackle, by the way, good to meet you again the other day at the tank for game 2. Can't control the refs, period. Kevin Hewitt, all 4 refs done for the playoffs now. Surely, it's
I mean, they already took out the Vegas refs. Are they really going to take out the entire? Are they going to take away Wes McCauley? I mean, I doubt they're going to do that.
Yeah, that's
leave Wes alone. We need Wes.
All of a sudden, I was with Don Koharski and Tom Dvorsky back in the league just because they've run out of officials to fire.
Have a donut. Have a donut.
Yeah, we did, let's just have Jim Schoenfeld come out of retirement for that matter too, right?
But to go back to the delay of penalty game or the no call, basically, a huge factor because it led to 2 goals, and
yeah.
That was a huge factor, and I think we would have been talking about it more if the Sharks didn't come back. But of course,
yeah,
it is what it is.
You're right. This script could be flipped the other way. If the Blues had won this game in overtime, the story could very well be, well, the Blues wouldn't have been back in this game at all if that delay of game had been called to begin with.
Right. And oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, in Rocket mentioning, you want 4-hour hockey games because that's how you're going to get 4-hour hockey games if you're going to review practically everything. The refs need to be accounted, need to be held accountable, and that goes for everything, for that matter. So moving onward, David Perron, Yes, that David Perron ties things up at 16:03 with his fourth of the playoffs. Perieko and Edmondson on the goals for that one, and that's where I started thinking, okay, this has got to be where the momentum starts changing, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, at this point now, the Sharks have lost all of their momentum from the first period, a solid first period. The Blues are back into this game. They've gotten their fans into it. I feel like St. Louis is underrated in how loud their building can get. But at the same time, I feel like Enterprise Center is a lot like SAP Center, where it's either really loud or it can get pretty quiet. It was pretty quiet, but the Blues getting back into this game really swung the tide and got the fans going, and just they snowballed from there. We saw it with Carolina the first two rounds. St. Louis, it was the same thing. It started to play a factor tonight.
Yeah.
Yep. Go ahead.
No, good.
All right. So at 17:42, then Burns takes a bad hooking call, which with the momentum that the St. Louis had just acquired, going nuts at the Enterprise Center and everything that takes place. Burns takes the penalty that gives him more momentum, and then the roof blows off as David Perron gets his second of the game. I don't even think Jones saw this one from Maroon and Perieko. At 18:42, St. Louis with the lead going into the break at 4-3.
Yeah, and sorry, Alex. I was just going to say that's one that you would hope that Martin Jones would stop, but at the same time, it was a high tip, as in Braun was up high and tipped it from out high. So I can understand that adjustment not being made quick enough, but still, it's just one of those backbreaking goals where it's like, man, I'm not faulting Jones, but man, that's one you'd really like to get saved.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, at a certain point, like I was looking through the 4 goals that St. Louis scored. The only one I could really blame on Jones at the Tarasenko goal.
Tarasenko,
yeah. And should have Jones got the second Perron goal? Sure. That one, very, very questionable. Probably should have gone that. Maybe he should have stepped out into the crease, maybe attacked it, but I thought he recovered in the third period, which is something you couldn't have said games 1 through 4 in the first round.
Yeah. I'm not going to attempt to say your name, but thank you for watching in Russia. Who won? The Sharks won 5-4.
Oh, I'll totally translate this. Give me a minute.
Okay, cool. Because that person also replied again on there. I know.
Oh, what just happened? Why
Laurel?
Is what are you doing, Laurel? We're trying to read that.
Laurel. That's okay. We're just trying to translate it really quick. It's okay. All right. So going to the third period, and here's the questionable call, and another one here. Braun takes a shot to the head by Maroon. Many of you were commenting in the chat earlier about it, about if there's gonna be supplemental discipline. It's interesting to see what's going on here. So, but what did you guys think? Was that an illegal hit to the head? Will that be as a fine, a suspension? Does the result of this game play effect into it at all? Even though it shouldn't, but does it play an effect into it?
I need to look it over again, but the result, the Sharks winning, probably changes that. We saw that with the Toronto series, Toronto and Boston series. I would have to look at the severity of it. Did he get a concussion, and what is his expected time out? But
And he came back into the game as well,
and that usually plays a huge factor with player safety.
Right. Daniel Martinez, well, a Shark got hit there, so there won't be a call to the Blues. Rob Iman says maximum fine for the hit. NHL Trump won't get any discipline. It's just crazy to see on that one. So third period, guys. I know the Sharks were coming on, but didn't it seem like the Blues kind of dictated play a little bit?
Absolutely. Watching the third period kind of reminded me of game 2 against Vegas. And obviously there's the reverse comeback in this respect because the Sharks came back from 3-0 in that game. Blues came back from 3-1 in this game. But what I mean is I was watching the forwards give no support to the defense at all. Martin Jones was fantastic in the third period, and I don't even think it was the defense's fault. I thought that the forwards played a very lazy back check, maybe cheating too much, trying to get that goal back to tie the game, cheating on offense too much, but just, man, oh man, you have to play solid hockey to win in most cases, you have to play solid hockey to win these games. And I didn't think the Sharks deserved to get back in this one with the way they played in the third period. I have to be honest there.
Right.
I thought they showed flashes of it, but it wasn't consistent. And that was the major issue. And then I think once it hit the last 3 minutes, you started to see consistent shots on net. And luckily we got one in.
Yep. And that came at the 19-minute mark of the third period. Logan Couture banks it in. Pavelski and Thornton with the assist on the extra attacker goal that ties this game up at 4-4. My goodness. Man, oh man, boys. What did you take from the tying goal, Kevin?
Relief. Rolade spells relief, or in this case, Couture does. I said it last game. I've said it a lot. Put the team on your back, Logan Couture. My goodness. I mean, a great. When you look at it, who shot the puck to begin with? Was it Karlsson? No, it was Burns. Karlsson set it to Burns. Burns tipped by Pavelski, and then Couture cleans it up. I mean, Couture, Burns, Pavelski, those are the guys, again, coming through for the Sharks. So it was awesome.
Yeah, I give this team a lot of credit for not giving up, letting in 4 goals in the second period, not showing much offensive momentum in the third period at all. But, this team has shown a lot of, gut, and more than most teams in Sharks history.
Yeah, let's look at it this way. And I think it started last season as well. The perseverance of this team. I think, in Kevin, you and I have been friends for a long time. AJ would say the same thing. We've seen this team just fall flat on their face when they've fallen behind, and it sucks. And it's just frustrating, I think, more than anything.
That it's just when you see games like tonight, in most instances, it's when you just hang your head and go, all right, let's just wait for the clock to tick down and find something else to do.
Yep.
Like watch Teal USA.
So
great on the Sharks to get themselves back into it for sure. And in the chat,
go ahead.
Burge 7F91. I'm gonna go ahead and say you're a Blues fan, and I agree with you on this.
I've seen that there.
Colton Parayko was not on the ice against Logan Couture because Alex Pietrangelo iced the puck twice trying to shoot at the empty net. That is an excellent point right there, because Parayko is their I love Pietrangelo, but Parayko is their guy, and he's their guy. So Sharks were able to take advantage of that.
Yeah. Sleepy Mofo, Couture just sneaked towards to the net and potted it in. He's a bad man in the playoffs. Yes. For Couture, that's his 5th goal of the series. The guy was averaging 2 goals a game. So, Logan, seriously, come on. You could do better than that, right? I mean, come on now.
Yeah, he only scored in one game in Colorado, but playoff MVP for the Sharks, hands down.
I mean, Kevin, if he's not in the running for Conn Smythe, I don't know what will.
Well, we gotta get through another round first before I think we can really.
Let's not touch any trophies.
I don't, and you guys are absolutely right. But I would say right now, he is the front runner for it. And all I'm going to say is, thank God we already signed him up. With that, to overtime we go, and 5:23 in. Timo Meier falls down. He grabs the puck. He bounces it. It gets to Nyquist.
Yes, he bounces it.
He bounces it. We're just going to call it that because, of course, we're about to break down probably the most controversial game-winning goal in Sharks history. But Erik Karlsson bangs it in for the second of his playoffs, second of the game, second of 2019, and Erik Karlsson is the
Erik
OT
Karlsson's
hero.
the streakiest player I've ever seen.
That's not me,
Ever
Patrick
one
Marlowe. So I immediately said, "There's no way they're calling this a goal. There's absolutely no way." But I want your full, honest opinion here, boys. Take off the teal tinted glasses. Kevin, should that have been a goal?
Well, in my not expert opinion, as I throw up last year's graphic, that's great. It was absolutely not a goal. And not only should it not have counted, I actually thought the Sharks were offside even before that. So, I guess the Blues don't have the Sharks video staff to go back any further and look at potential offsides.
And a lot of people were talking about that, how Logan
Yeah.
Couture caught the puck and then skated with it. But so you say no goal?
I say no goal based on the hand pass, and I'd love to see a review of the offsides potential as well.
Yep. Al, your thoughts?
I thought it was not a goal. Hand passes are normally cut and dry. You blow the play dead right away. But luckily enough, the Sharks scored the goal and it went straight to the referee's hands. And of course, the rule book, what was it, 79.1?
Yep.
That worked out in the Sharks' favor.
And here's the rule. Here is what Rule 79.1 says on here, and it is in regarding to a hand pass. Let me share it with you here on this, so that way we can have that here. Rule 79.1 hand pass. A player shall be permitted to stop or quote unquote bat a puck in the air with his open hand or push it along the ice with his hand, and the play shall not be stopped unless, in the opinion of the referee, he has directed the puck to a teammate. A player,
unless it's the 2019 NHL playoffs.
That's
obviously that is an old rule based on the Sidney Crosby draft photo that's up there. So that rule is clearly outdated.
A player shall be permitted to catch the puck out of the air, but must immediately place it or knock it down to the ice. If he catches it and skates with it, either to avoid a check or to gain the territorial advantage over his opponent, a minor penalty shall be assessed for closing his hand on the puck.
So,
and it is not a reviewable play.
Hey, zoom back in on that. I want to see something. That was interesting. You guys chat. I want to read something in the fine print. Thank you.
You go for it.
All right. So, my first reaction was that I thought a St. Louis Blues player touched the puck, with his skates, and that's the reason why the goal counted. Now, did it look like it? Very, very barely, but also it kind of looked like a St. Louis Blues stick pushed the puck in. So you had those two factors as the play was happening. Of course, instant replay slows the game down. You get multiple angles. But of course, 79.1, you can't review it. It is kind of ridiculous for the playoffs. It goes back to that argument of what's an offside review, and they need to expand that. But this is very, 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 very much the early days of instant replay.
Yeah, and that's the thing. People are saying that some people are saying, as I'm looking on Twitter, that it missed Meier's right hand, which there's no way you could say that.
No.
Some people are saying it deflected off the shin of Jay Bouwmeester.
I know a couple people said that it bounced off Meier's stick and then like it went off his glove, went off Meyer's stick and over. Now I didn't see that, but what I was interested in the rule that you explained, Erik, was it sounded like it's in the rule that the puck must touch the ice. And now I was kind of wondering if is the puck hitting his stick, if it even hit his stick. If the puck hit his stick, does that not count until the puck touches the ice? So there's so many factors in this.
And is there a time where you have to wait 1 or 2 seconds before you have possession, or is that play just done dead? I don't know. Like,
yeah, and like Chris, DJ Chris, good to see you. He says you can see it deflect directions off the shin. There's definitely a lot of going on there. We should mention, and I'm sorry to kind of go to everything here, but we want to welcome the 168 people watching this right now, and welcome to probably the most controversial edition ever of Teal Town After Dark. That could be challengeable.
It's not my fault this time, guys.
Yeah.
or can you talk about Niemi?
Oh boy, here we go.
That too.
Do yourself a favor if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button. We do this after every single Sharks game. Of course, follow us on the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, SoundCloud, YouTube. We hit all of those up and everything. So by yourself, hit us up on the Teal Town USA on the social. Of course, also hit us up on tealtownusa.com. We have some great posts there. Of course, you can get the beautiful Win It for Jumbo shirt. You can get that on there. And of course, you can listen to the audio version of this show along with our weekly recap, The Pucknologist, and a bunch of little surprises as well we put in there on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Spotify. But we appreciate each and every one of you joining us tonight, no matter which side of the hand pass you are on. So
I want to pose this to you guys here. I'm going to screen share something I tweeted earlier in the game because we talked about the David Perron very evident delay of game. At that time, Pierre Maguire said, there's an appetite to make puck over glass and high sticks reviewable plays. Yeah, duh, they should be. I don't see why they're not. Hand pass, same thing. And to what I'm saying, because people are saying, well, at the next GM meetings, this will definitely get reviewed. Yeah, but how many years have we been saying this? I mean, the GMs just had meetings 2 months ago in Florida, and they still felt there was no need to do this. So I want to move on to something that Corey Hirsch tweeted, which I thought was excellent,
right?
Which is the NHL is being exposed huge right now for rule and video flaws. This game is too fast and the players are too big for the refs, so they need some help. Give them a chance. And I agree, because as poorly as these calls have been made, in most of the instances, the referees have gotten the call right by definition. So and by that I mean for replay. So this hand pass thing was not reviewable. Why is it not reviewable? I have no freaking clue. But I'm with Corey here. They need a serious overhaul of the video review, because otherwise we're going to end up with another Brett Hull situation in the Stanley Cup Finals.
And the tough part is, because of all this, it's another thing where people are going to suggest that the league is in it to get the Sharks into the Cup Final, supposedly against Boston. It's a tough part, and those things should be reviewed. However, like Rocket mentioned, do you want a 4-hour hockey game in the regular season? And like AO says, let's be honest, no matter how the calls come out, no one will be happy except the outcome as it is. And Molerat 33 saying the same thing that Chris says. Gonna say it again, the puck touching the defender's legs doesn't negate the hand pass. It's the other part. It's a tough part. it's a really tough part, and considering what the Sharks have gone through this postseason, it's crazy to to think about it. But it comes down to wanting to get the right call too.
Yeah, but at a certain point, you have to play through missed calls, and you can't let the referee dictate the play. Now, are you making the case that the referees have dictated who wins and who loses? That's more of an interesting argument in my book, because you can say like the suspensions maybe have cost a series this playoffs, maybe the Boston one in Toronto, but like Vegas, I won't even listen to. 4 goals in 4 minutes. I won't even listen to you for a minute if you even bring that up.
And here's the idea: don't cross-check the guy.
That too,
or making any chance of it whatsoever.
Yeah.
And that guy was Joe Pavelski. And speaking of Joe Pavelski, we have some audio from him about tonight.
Yeah, you know what? There's a few calls. You're going to get them. You're not going to get certain ones. Everyone keeps talking about the hand pass, so there must have been something there. But at the end of the day, there were calls that go both ways. That's the playoffs. There's adversity. You always got to adjust and handle it and keep her cool. And at times we've done a great job with it, and at times we could be better. So, it's always just a lesson that at the end of the night, it's all about the wins and losses. If you get the extra call, great. If not, you really have to, just keep playing, because, they're not trying to screw anybody. They really aren't. They're good guys.
There was something there. Something.
So, and mind you, and AJ, thanks for sending this to me, because it's very interesting to see this, because Pavelski has been on the other side of this. Let's remember 2016. In fact, Al, you mentioned in our chat before as we went on the air, the biggest situation in the Sharks playoff history where the Sharks got a bad call. And I remember that Pavelski with the goaltender interference when Weber cross-checked him into Pecorini in game 4 of the Nashville series 3 years ago.
4 or 5, something like that. But yeah, that was just, oh, my goodness. I mean, bad calls happen. We've seen them, and again, the GMs are just going to be sipping on their coconut drinks there at the GM meetings every year.
Yep. And then you got the Vancouver goal for when the Sharks were playing Vancouver in the semifinals, which was called off, but then it was called in, and that becomes the game decider.
And for that matter, before Kevin Bieksa scores in overtime or double overtime for it, don't forget the refs blew an icing call before that, where Vancouver tied that up. But nobody talks about that because the Sharks failed to get that done. They do talk about the Bieksa goal because, it was one of those weird fluky plays that cost the Sharks. But,
yeah,
it's quite interesting. In the chat, Krissa Karlsson called the officiating the longest yard type. Berg 7F91. I like Joe's laugh at the end. Kent Scheel, any game in any sport, the refs have a very tough job in trying to call the games fairly and equally. And you can only do so much with the 2 refs and the 2 linesmen there. Rainmaker, very nice. I like how you spelled rain. This game is over 100 years old, and still every game we see, it's the first time that's ever happened. Obviously, the rule book can't predict everything.
Look, I've been in favor of getting rid of the blue line because that maybe opens up some speed in the game, but
I don't know. I don't feel. This is kind of a different conversation here, but
yeah, we're going to a different conversation too.
Otherwise, I think the officials will just have more missed calls.
Yeah, and that's the tough part. I mean, because obviously here we're excited that the Sharks won this game. The Sharks are now 6 wins away from having the Stanley Cup.
Don't jinx it.
I mean, but I'm just saying. That's a fact more than anything. But you have you now have controversy supposedly in every single playoff series, and um there's going to be some controversy, and there is that little bitter taste in your mouth, but then you think about it and you go, well, it's not like we haven't had those bounces go the other way as well, and unfortunately that's happens, and so be it, you know.
I'm hoping that this is not reverse karma. If the Sharks advance to the Stanley Cup Finals, I hope everything that's happened so far is not reverse karma for something Brad Marchand is going to do in the finals. That's all I'm saying.
Don't.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And to me, I think game 4 will be a Sharks parade to the penalty box. I'll call that right now, to be quite honest here.
Yeah, especially early. Especially early.
It is a major victory, though, to win Game 3. That way, you maintain home ice, similar to the Colorado and I guess not similar to Vegas, but similar to the Colorado series. Maintain home ice, and if they win Game 4, they win Game 4. But this is probably going to be a 6 or 7 game series, and this is going to be a great series going back and forth.
Yeah. And I always say Game 4 is the second most crucial game of a series behind Game 7. So if the Sharks can come out with 2 victories in St. Louis, I mean, that's a huge momentum swing. I mean, I know there's some people, I think Chris JWS is not a believer in momentum, but I am. So I think if you're up 3-1 going back home for Game 5, it's a pretty awesome place to be, unless you're Vegas. But I had to do it.
Now who's feeding the trolls? Gee.
But in all honesty, though, if you're looking at from an aspect of which team deserved to win, the Sharks deserve to be up 2-1 in this series. I felt that the Sharks should have won both games in San Jose, and the Blues probably should have won this game tonight. So on that aspect, this series is where it should be. It's just been a very weird ride getting there.
That's an understatement. I mean, wow. I mean, it's
been a very Bart ride over there.
Oh, wow. Oh, well, I didn't have it ready, man. I should have seen that coming, but hang on. Hang on. I'll get it for you. There you go.
No, I'm not fighting, Chris. We both bet against the Let's Go Blues guys for some beer and whatnot. So no, me and Chris JWS are on the same side on this. Don't worry. If you don't know what we're talking about, go back, subscribe to Teal Town USA, and check out the series preview, because this is an actual thing.
Oh, jeez. All right. So let's look at the final stats before we move along here. Final stats, both teams even at 32 shots on goal. Face-offs, a slight edge to the Blues, 52-48. That was pretty much the same thing. Interesting here. Both teams were fairly disciplined, or you can say the officials missed a few calls here and there. Sharks were 0 for 1 on their only power play chance. The Blues, Perron, got their only power play goal in the second period there. Hits after that crazy 22-4 first period in favor of St. Louis. It started to even back up, but it was still a 43-21 in favor of the Sharks. Block shots 24-20 in favor of St. Louis. Giveaways 9-7 in favor of St. Louis in that one. As you guys mentioned before, Joe Thornton, 2 goals and assists on the night for a 3-point night, playing 16-23.
Yeah.
Kevin LeBanc with a couple assists as well. And of course, as much as there are controversies going on, Erik Karlsson with 2 goals tonight, getting off of his calendar year schneid to make it a Sharks 2-1 series lead. Martin Jones. Let's briefly talk about the goaltending really quick here. Martin Jones, 28 of 32 on the night. Jordan Bennington stopped 27 of 32 on the evening. What did Kevin? I'll start with you. What did you take from the goaltending tonight?
For the third game in a row, Jones outplayed Binnington. Binnington's a goalie that I like, but I have no problem in saying Jones has outplayed him. At the same token, I'd like to see these shot different. I mean, these have been closely shot game. How do I want to say that? The shots have been even on both sides, and
Pretty much.
that has not been reflective of the games that I've seen. Like the Sharks should be pounding the net, forcing Binnington to prove himself in the conference finals. We've heard a lot about Binnington's a hot goalie and whatnot. I don't believe that he's a hot goalie. I think he's been the real deal this season, but at the same time, he needs to prove that. The Sharks have not done enough to force him to be worthy of going this far, taking the team this far.
Yeah, to follow up your point, this is the first time since game 2 of round 2 that the Sharks had 30 or more shots. So it's been quite a while. And of course, this is an overtime game, so there's more shots, there's more chances to get attempts, but 32 shots, it just seems like there's not been a lot of shots to the net in 6 games. So I think we're going to do a reach around.
First off, I just want to say earlier in the night in the Google chat, we had a Russian fellow in there named Evgeny Nekrasov, and Evgeny asked, "What is the score?" So obviously Russia may not have seen the game live. So Evgeny, the final score was Sharks 5, Blues 4 in overtime.
Yes, and we do appreciate you coming in from Russia. I hope you understand everything we were saying, so we appreciate that. Do yourself a favor. Well, make sure you hit the subscribe button and make sure you go to tealtownusa.com for the Win It for Jumbo shirts. And of course, follow us on the social media and everything, along with our pregame reports and all the stuff we put out. We do in-game gifting on our Twitter, but let's not delay this anymore, folks. It's time.
Have the goddamn common courtesy to give him a reach around.
It's wraparound, folks. Yes, we're down to the nitty-gritty in the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. And unfortunately, the Carolina Hurricanes are on the verge of elimination tomorrow as they take on the Boston Bruins in Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Final. That will be at 5 p.m. tomorrow night on NBCSN. Last night, they lost 2-1 to the Hurricanes. Chris Wagner and Brad Marchand with the goals. Calvin DeHaan, too little too late in the second period as Rask outduels Curtis McElhinney in this one. And boys, what do you think of what you've seen so far between Carolina and Boston? Can Carolina pull it off? And remember, folks, because everybody loves to mention how the Sharks were reverse swept. Well, earlier in the decade, so were the Boston Bruins to the Philadelphia Flyers. So I will throw this out there to you folks. Al, Kevin, can the bunch of jerks pull off the miracle? I'll start with you, Kevin.
Well, all I have to say is if Boston is planning on getting reverse swept again, I guess I'd better get out to this sushi place in Fremont I was at when the Flyers did it to the Boston Bruins. So, because that's where I was when that happened. But I love Carolina. I have one of their jerseys, and it's, they've been a great story and whatnot. But this series, this Boston Carolina series, is why games like the Sharks Game 2 can't happen anymore, because I believe Boston's going to end this series tomorrow night, sweep Carolina, and the Sharks cannot give the Bruins any kind of rest advantage when they themselves clearly need the rest. So, sorry, Carolina.
Al?
Yeah, I have the same points. Carolina, give them a lot of credit. They were very competitive in Game 3, but the thrashing that they took during Mother's Day for Game 2, 6-2, kind of showed in Game 3. And not scoring the first goal in Game 3 really did play a major factor. And honestly, it's going to be a 4 or 5 series. It's not going to be a 6 or 7. just Boston has been fantastic. Marchand and Rask has been back to his prime time. This is the fewest starts that Rask has played in this entire season. He's fresh. He's ready to go. It's a strategy you're going to see a lot going forward with other goaltenders. Start playing your backup a lot more and hope that your best goaltender is ready. Unlike what Vegas did with Fleury this entire season, play him career highs. That's the way the NHL is going to do it, and Rask has been the best he's ever played in the playoffs.
I think Carolina gets this one, and unfortunately, Boston finishes in 5. M. Hackle says the same thing. AJ mentioning Boston came back from down 3-0. Granted, that was MLB, but still, I mean that's a crazy thing. Is that how it's like we really need a Boston team to get to the Cup final? I mean, come on. If anything, never mind. I'm not gonna go there.
Nope. No.
But Kevin, I will ask for a AHL wraparound. I noticed that the team that knocked out the San Jose Barracuda in the first round is headed to the third round, surprisingly.
Yeah, and they were very impressive over a very tough Bakersfield Condors team that won 18 games in a row or something earlier this season. The San Diego Gulls have kind of, I won't say they've come out of nowhere, because when you look at their roster, they're actually a very deep, solid team. It's just kind of it's kind of like the Blues. It's how they've gotten this far that's a little surprising. I want to pull this up really quickly, but to my knowledge, Jeff Glass, after coming in relief of Kevin Boyle in Game 1 against the Barracuda, I believe Jeff Glass is still he is still the goalie of record for them. He's completely supplanted Boyle after having an atrocious regular season. But man, the goals are on fire. This Final Four for the AHL is going to be some outstanding hockey. If you're able to get the AHL.TV package, it'll be well worth watching, because the Gulls play the Chicago Wolves, who are Vegas's affiliate, but they're a real deal team as well, because they have 2 of the top 4 scorers in the league this year with TJ Tynan and Daniel Carr, and they've been able to do it without Brandon Peary, who is ineligible for the AHL playoffs because he was on the Golden Knights roster for their playoff run. And Peary had 42 points in 29 games for them this season. And yet the Wolves are just that deep that they're still able to reach the conference finals. So that's going to be a great series. And then in the East, you've got the Charlotte Checkers, who are Carolina's affiliate. Remember, Carolina has all 3 of their organizational teams still alive in the playoffs between the NHL, AHL, and ECHL. Charlotte has been my team since day 1-ish to win the Calder Cup this year, but in order to do it, they have to beat the defending Calder Cup champions, the Toronto Marlies. The Marlies are right on par with the Maple Leafs in that they're either the greatest team in the world, or they need to all rot in a fire or a dumpster or something somewhere, because that's just how the media portrays them. So I never know what to believe with the Marlies, whether the media is over glorifying them or just downplaying them. Who knows? But I still think it's going to be Charlotte and Chicago in the Calder Cup finals, with Charlotte taking it.
Gotcha. We appreciate that. We appreciate each and every one of you. In case you missed anything or you want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcatcher, whether it's iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Spotify. Of course, hit us up on the YouTube channel. We do this after each and every single game. We want to thank the 1,550 subscribers, and please tell your friends about our show and all of our content that we provide, along with recaps of the rounds as it is now with the pucknologists, or getting interviews like Drew Remenda, among others for that. So check us out on tealtownusa.com for that one. So with that, we bring to a close of this one. Let's go around the horn and your final thoughts and where the people can find you, Mr. Al Martinet.
Hey, great win tonight. A surprising win. I will say that. I think that's mostly guaranteed at this point. But game 4, to bring up Kevin's point, I think is also going to be a critical game. Really surprised with Erik. Really impressed with Erik Karlsson's effort tonight. 2 goals. Not having any goals going at that point this season or this year. Good to see him. I thought he played a pretty consistent night. But great win, 2-1, home ice. That's all you can really ask for. You can find me at Twitter at Al Martinet, free to talk hockey, free to talk sports. Yeah, I'll see you next time.
Appreciate it, Al. Thank you so much. Mr. Kevin Lacy, your final thoughts and where the people can find you on the social.
Well, something we didn't really mention tonight were the coaching. The coaches made some lineup changes, and out was Marcus Sorensen, which I actually thought was the right call. I did not like how he played in game 2, and he's been kind of struggling lately, especially with the bigger forwards of the Blues. Melker Karlsson got brought up to the third line. Liked that. Resulted in a couple of goals for Joe Thornton. And I actually thought Alex True should have gotten into the lineup just as a bigger body presence, and maybe with Michael Haley being out, possibly out, maybe that happens. Who knows? But I am at Kevin Lacy 22. I decided to be the brat of the show tonight. So once again, the final score 5-4. I don't know how we did it, but it's been fun, guys. Thanks for watching. Erik, you're muted.
Of course. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button down below, but I appreciate each and every one of you joining us tonight. If you haven't checked out the t-shirt, by all means, there you go. Win it for Jumbo. You can find it and purchase it at tealtownusa.com. And of course, Jumbo will win it for himself, apparently, as he gets a half a rooster trick. But we will be back with you Friday night following Sharks and Blues game number 4 at 5 p.m. on NBCSN. You can also always follow us after the game. And if you want more information on that, just hit us up at tealtownusa on the Twitter handle. So with that, for AJ, are you going to jump in here really quick before I toss it out? I guess not. All right. For Al Martinet, for Kevin Lacy, for everyone here at Teal Town USA, I am Erik Kuhre. We want to thank you for watching, and always remember, keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real, Teal. Have a great night, everyone, and we will see you following game number 4.
It was glorious.
I'm Randy Hahn, and you're listening to another podcast from Teal Town USA.